One morning I woke up and I knew it all. A new day, a new way, and new eyes to belong. Gone the way I'm going back, kept on. The sky is clearing and the night is bright. The sun, he come, the world is rejoice, rejoice, we have no choice but to carry on. The fortunes of fables are able. Now witness the quickness with which we to sing the blues. You got to live the carry on. Love is coming. Love is coming to us all.
You ever wonder why the left always wins? And not just the left.
Where are you going now, my love?
Where will you be tomorrow? Will you bring me happiness? Will you bring me sorrow?
Well, there's a reason. And I know the secret.
Mother, can you talk
To me.
You know I smoke a lot of grass. Oh Lord, I popped a lot of pills. But I've never touched nothing that my spirit could kill. You know I've seen a lot of people walking around with tombstones in their eyes.
But the ogre don't care
But you don't care
if a motherfucker lives or if he
if
dies.
you live or if you die.
You gotta find your own way in this world.
God damn. The pusher. God damn. Hey, I say the pusher. I said, God damn. full of grass in his hand. Oh, but the butcher is a monster. That God is not a natural man. The dealer for nickel ought to sell you lots of sweet dreams. Ah, about the pusher on your body, love will leave your mind to scream. God damn. Oh, the pusher man. God damn. God damn, the pusher.
In this very, very fickle, the most fickle of platforms, YouTube, it appears that I can go away for a very short period of time and that it's just like starting over again. I don't mind. I don't mind, folks. New beginnings is what makes life worth living. Let me tell you what. It's what keeps us getting up in the morning. It's what keeps us going to the same dead-end job day in and day out, even though we know the paycheck will be the same as it was last month. Just enough, not enough, barely enough, almost enough. We need to have enough and ain't got enough snuff to puff. Man, I know the secret, folks. I know the secret of John of Nepomuk. It's taken me a few days to really decide if I was going to share this with y'all, but here we go.
Now I declare total war on the pusher man. I'd cut him if he stands, and I'd shoot him if he'd run. Then I'd kill him with my Bible, and my razor and my gun. Oh, the pusher. God damn.
I've heard it said, loose lips sink ships. Anybody ever heard that before? I've heard it said that loose lips sink ships. I do believe that people that tell tales bring the end with them. There is no way to thrive, to survive, to make it if you have a tale bearer. Anybody know what that is? Anybody ever heard of that before, that adjective to describe the noun before? Anybody ever heard of that? A tale bearer? A tale bearer is somebody that just can't wait to unload somebody else's dirty laundry on you. Unsuspecting little old you. Now, I'm going to try to maybe play more music in the background while I talk to y'all. It's just the four of us here today. Just us. Very, very cozy, very tidy and cozy in here. We're all alone. There's a saying at the Bohemian Grove Club, the Bohemian Club, the Bohemian Grove, the Grove of Bohemians started by some crazy actors, some politicians. Years and years ago, they would go north of San Francisco and they'd get together once a year under these beautiful redwood trees, and they ensured that they could do this on into futurity by purchasing the land that these beautiful redwood trees grew on, right along the rushing river. One of the most beautiful places on earth. I myself have never stepped foot in this area, though I have seen redwood trees. I've never been where the Grove is. The name of the town's eluding me right now. The only women allowed there our staff, and they didn't used to allow that. They do a lot of male on male butt fucking up in there, so they don't want no women coming along and ruining it for dudes that just may be bi-curious and they just need that little extra drink to push them over the edge, and taking the old high hard one right up the poop shooter. And then, you know, why, if they have a pretty little waitress over here, that could ruin the whole fucking deal. And Senator Buttfuck from Jerkwater isn't going to get his prime grade A asshole pounding in for that particular year. We can't have that, man. I mean, these dudes are tense. They're tense from a whole year of murdering motherfuckers left and right. People that have no reason to die. I'll try to leave off the MFers. This is serious, but I have to bring it with a certain kind of levity. I have to bring this knowledge and this truth to you with a certain kind of levity. Why is the New World Order always seeming to be able to push their agenda? Why do we always see Trump is evil? Trump shot him up in Christ Church. You know, it was his fault. Somebody now, these people accosting Clinton, Chelsea Clinton. Chelsea, I am a bleeding heart, progressive, crybaby, moron Clinton. Chelsea, I was born with a silver spoon, jammed kitty wampus up my kitty wampus, and someone to work the handle. I never had to do a damn thing in my life. I'm a member of the board of the Bill and Hillary and now Chelsea Clinton Foundation, a slush fund for grifters, as I quote one of my mentors, Roger Stone. I know I would say that. A lot of people just turn the channel and go, fuck you too. How long do I got to go away to weed out all the weaklings? What do I have to do? Start another channel? And there are no weaklings that I see here. I'm not calling you out, although if you're a weakling and you know it, who would know better than you? I love this tune. Someone has set it to Looper Duper. Yeah. Oh, yeah. A bag of goodies and a bottle of wine. We're going to get it on right tonight. And isn't that what they were afraid of? Isn't this the terror? Isn't this the horror that flew at night for some real jewels? I mean, hang on. For some real jewels like Richard Nixon. Boy, isn't this just the holiest of terrors for a guy that said the Bohemian Grove was the faggiest dag-nabbed thing he'd ever seen in his fucking ever-loving life. He couldn't believe what they did go up to do. It's not that you just piss on trees or sucking each other's cock behind the red wall. Anyway, so you're stunned and you're awed by the sheer majesty of these massive redwoods, man, towering over you, so gigantic that you can drive 2 VW bugs abreast going through them. Unbelievable. You're taken by just the sheer magnitude of the camp, how much space you have. Blown away. What do you see there on the entryway as you go to prepare for the cremation of care ceremony this night, and then open your mind up for some wonderful fireside chats for some real devil worshiping sons of bitchin' baby eating motherfuckers like George W. Bush and his daddy? God rot his fucking soul, hell where it belongs. Huh? What do you think they see over there? It says, weaving spiders come not here. And there is a whole mythos around Minerva, the god that gave the ability of weaving to man and the woman, that said, I can weave better than Minerva. I am more beautiful than Minerva. And Minerva cursed this woman and made her become a spider to ever weave. Never been able to stop. We'll talk about that another day. Weaving spiders come not here. In other words, leave your work, your toil, and your care that you're chained to behind. We won't talk of work in here. We won't talk of these things that weigh us down. We're going to let ourselves go. MCJK, good to see you, Captain. We're going to let ourselves go. We're going to have a good old time. Weaving spiders come not here. Why does the left seem to win? Why are they still pushing man-made climate change as a hysterical, the sky is falling chicken little moment when they've already been debunked time and time again? When Al Gore's book could not be published today without 90% revision because the things he was saying never came to pass. What about the moron that said the polar caps would melt by 2013? That came and went. No apology, no change of mind. Well, I take that back. He changed it from 2013 to 2016. That has also came and went. My good friends, my international coven, but my beloved conspiratorium, come gather with me. Let's reason. Let's reason. John of Nepomuk. Well, Nepomuk, King Wenceslas, he really thought his old lady was going around and behind his back and making a fool of him. He figured she was getting it from somebody else, and he wanted to know. So King Wenceslas called John, a good friar, a good priest of the region, called him in and said, hey, listen, you know, if anyone knows, you know, my wife confesses her innermost secret to you. What is it? What has she been running around on me? Has Mrs. Wenceslas been smoking the old baloney pony behind my back? Has she been taking the old high hard one with a side of man sauce when I wasn't looking? He refused to tell him. John of Nepomuk was tortured. He was ultimately put to death, had his tongue cut out, and he never spoke a word to King Wenceslas. He doesn't know if he, and he didn't give any indication. He doesn't know if he died protecting what he thought would happen, or if he died because he just didn't want to say one way. He had no idea. This is their patron saint there at the Bohemian Grove, John of Nepomuk. This arcane saint that died unwilling to reveal any of the inner secrets. This is their patron saint. Do you see what we're up against, people? Do you see what we're up against, people? We are up against folks that are so evil that where they go, they're only going there to proffer their opinions and to forward their agenda, to increase their network, and to basically do their life's work. But they say, weaving spiders come not here. All they have is these lakeside chats. It's all work related. Mr. Tarbox, good to see you. Mr. Stonley, good to see you. What do they do when they get in there besides the gay butt sex left and right, like it's going out of style, just horking each other up the ass? What else do they do? I don't know. There's a lot of speculation, but because of their patron saint, John of Nepomuk, the only thing we can do about skull and bones, the only thing we can do about these giant secret societies, the real Illuminati, not the fake one that sells you t-shirts and they do the eye thing all over the place because they're rappers and they want to get big. They want to make you think like they're in on something. Let me tell you something. These people that do all this crap and whatnot, and the 666s and LeBron Jameses and the all of these people. I know he's a basketballer, but you understand what I'm saying. The Jay-Z's and the Beyoncés and all of these, going back to the Slayers with their multi-cursal hexagram that they put up in front that is a direct replica of Aleister Crowley's multi-cursal hexagram, this thing with shamrock looking things in it. They sing through this. It's, what? For what? John of Nepomuk, man. They ain't telling us. Is it because they want to throw us off of pyramids? I don't fucking know. Is it because they want to eat children? I mean, you hear Alex Jones. I love Alex. He's right about a lot of things, but you hear him say things like, what it comes down to, the end game is eating people. They're going to sell you people at the base of the pyramids. You're going to be eating people. That's what they did back then in the Aztecs. You know, they ate people. Yeah, okay, they ate people. But I don't know if their end game is eating people because John of Nepomuk, These people will go to their ever fucking graves and will never, ever tell you the truth. They will never tell you what their life was really about. I'm not going to rail about it all day, but I'm trying to get this all hooked up where I got control over my volume, got control over my voice volume too, and I can unmute my voice. I can mute the music or unmute the music. But I've got a little hum in it. I'm going to have to get a filter. You know, the idea that you hook it through this shit and somehow it magically filters out the 1,000-watt lights that are burning all the shit that's going on in my house is crazy. Man, you can't do it. So where am I at? Where am I at? Play dumb like Trump does and wait for the right moment. Oh, Timma, Miss Timma's here. How you doing, Miss Timma? Oh, here we go. Anyway. Oh, thank you for that. In my ears, I can hear a buzzing. I can hear a and I had to, I didn't have it hooked up right before. I've got it hooked up properly now, but I have to get some different cables that aren't stereo. They got to be mono. I got to have mono out left, mono out right. Right now, they're pushed in, but they're not pushed in all the way. If I push them in all the way, they go off. Well, I'm way off topic. I'm digressing. Good to see you, Miss Timma. You're so beautiful and lovely and married and everything else, but whatever. I'm married too. It's called spousal juggling. I've heard of that. Anybody heard of that? Spousal juggling. It's not recommended by anybody with brains. So anyway, because they have this vaunted John of Nepomuk, that's what we're up against. Because they have this idea of completely fooling and buffaloing you. You know, weaving spiders come not here, even though we will be weaving the entire time we're in this baby. What they show you on TV, if you ever get caught up in these evil people's webs, they say, well, let us look through your computer, your telephone, your house. Well, no, I don't. Well, if you got nothing to hide. If you have nothing to hide, you will let us in now. And of course, if you say, no, it's hands up, get against the wall, they probably shoot my... Oh, I think about that all the time. If the police ever did knock on my door, ever kicked my door in, I would call my dog instantly. And I would grasp her and go to the ground with my back to them. And I'd hold her tight. And I would just say, listen, let me get a leash for my dog. Do not shoot my dog. I think about it often, and I'm one of those crazies that, boy, if I didn't have time to think about it, in other words, if I was out in my yard and I had my Glock on me and somebody shot my dog and I'd have a lot of time to think about it, it'd probably be a Ruby Ridge incident. I would probably pull my piece and kill that human before I had a chance to really consider that no matter what I feel in my heart, this is a dog. Okay, it's a dog, and that's a human being. And no matter how I feel in my heart, it's never okay to kill a human being because of or to save a dog. And man, I know it's hard for me to say, but this is realistic. It's not. I never want to let my feelings control me. Never want to have feelings that control me and dictate what I do. I'd rather it be a logical train of thought. I'd rather it be something that I've thought about. Much as I've thought about this problem that we're having. This issue right now, and I've heard it said by MREs and also by some white nationalists. I've heard it said by some black nationalists. I've heard by people like Angel Snubnub. I've heard a lot of ideas come up, okay, about why they want to paint the West a certain way. I'm trying to be very careful with my words because you hear this whole idea of white genocide, right? That you don't hear about diversity in China, you don't hear about diversity in Japan. Well, those countries, the governments really have a handle on it stuff, and they're not going to allow this diversive propaganda to get out. This insane nation destroying propaganda to get out. In our country, it's rampant. They got to the point where they have people feeling bad about themselves and double thinking their very personality based on lies. immigration does not necessarily make us stronger. It depends upon who's immigrating. Okay, I just heard that $120 billion a year, up to $130 billion a year, is sent out of our country in remittances. And they say, oh, these people pay tax. Wouldn't matter if they pay all kinds of taxes. Do they pay enough to warrant? What it is basically it's outsourcing in the country. We import these people to do jobs no one will do, which is bullshit. And then they do the jobs and send the money home. So let's say that they do pay taxes. Most of them don't, but let's just say that they do. All of them pay taxes. But then 65-70% of their paycheck goes home to, I heard Guatemala gets something like 8 billion, 11 billion to Honduras. And these are the people that say we are destroying their country. That because of our policies, we have to let them come and immigrate here because our policies have made their countries the shitholes that they are. No way, hoser. Go back, go south, hoser. We don't need you here. We don't want you here. You're not in that game. You are a loss for us. If they paid taxes, every one of them, but still sent back 65% of their check, that's 65% of 11 million. That's the moderate. People say it's up to 20 million. When I think about these numbers, folks, up to 20 million illegals in our country. I understand this is a big country, but there's only 56 million people in all of the United Kingdom. I mean, we're getting up to 20 million. I think that's more people than are in Honduras. Honduras isn't that big. We've taken so many of their worst folks. Oh, and if they send us our best, then send us their best, then they're doing themselves such a horrible disservice because they need their best there, figuring out their problems there. What's the agenda? The agenda is to replace you, black man. You speak English? Born here in America? Got black skin? They want to replace you, Mexican American. You Mexican? You speak English? You come here legally, or your family come here legally, or your family been here for 5 generations, you're an American? They come to replace you. They're using this race card so that you, true American, jump on the bandwagon with these folks that are not American at all. They're waving their Honduran flags or waving their Mexican flags. They want to bring their socialism. They want to bring Venezuela here to your backyard. Then they call you a racist if you don't go along. We need true Americans everywhere to stand up and to tell the truth about what they think about this nonsense. It's very difficult to call a Mexican American a racist when he's saying, hey, Mexicans need to come in illegal because he's Mexican. I mean, when I see Tucker Carlson has some of these like Jorge Ramos on and this other guy, I can't remember his name on, and he's like, hey, they don't want these immigrants there in Mexico. Are you all racist? And they pivot and change the topic right away because only Americans can be racist. Okay. And only white Americans can be racist when they really start narrowing it down, because as a nation, they just say racist, right? That's throwing all you black people in the bus too, man. Y'all a bunch of racists with me. Bunch of racist, beer drinking hillbillies with cowboy hats on. Racist sons of bitches. Ought to have your balls cut off. A lot of you. John of Nepomuk has taught our bitter enemy right now. They are mostly on the left, but y'all do realize that in the early 80s, they were mostly on the right, don't you? Do you realize that when you go back to the 50s, they were almost all on the right? You go back far enough and they were spread out evenly and mostly on the left. I mean, you go way back, it was mostly on the left. It switches. It doesn't matter. This agenda, this Weissofian agenda, this Hegelian agenda. Been around for a long time, people. Will I die in a free country? Will I die an American? Will my last breath be of free air? Will my grandchildren be able to purchase firearms if they care to for target shooting, self-defense, or any other damn reason they want? Will the evil New World Order take what is otherwise a beautiful idea and concept and twist the memory of St. John of Nepomuk to the point where they might as well say, snitches get stitches? I've never seen a group of people move with such unity, such uncanny unity, such supernatural unity, as if whatever talking points out goes out to everybody that's on that train simultaneously. Noon on Tuesday. Who knows, man? It's out there. Well, I'll tell you what. Been real good to see y'all here today. I might come back and have a final word. In fact, I'm sure I will. Well, I'm going to take a little 5 here and let y'all listen to this song. Look back at your comments and kind of think about how I'm going to put a bow on this.
Strolling slowly towards the sun. Green-eyed lady, ocean lady, soothing every raging wave that comes. Green-eyed lady, passion's lady, dressed in love, she lives for life to be. Green-eyed lady feels like I never see, setting suns and lonely lovers free.
Dan Bongino rocks. I fully endorse that statement, but I love you, Tim Tarbox.
Baby, don't you do it. Don't do it. Don't you break my heart. Please don't do it. Don't you break my heart. I sacrifice to make you happy. If nothing for myself. Now you wanna leave me for the love of someone else. My pride is all gone. Whether I'm right or wrong, I need you, baby, to keep on keeping on. And you know I tried to do my best. I tried to do my best. Don't do it. Don't you break my heart. Please don't do it. Don't you break my heart. My biggest mistake was loving you too much and letting you know. Now you got me where you want me and you won't let me go. If my heart was made of glass, then you should have seen how much heartache and misery you've been causing me. But I've been trying to do my best. But I'm trying to do my best. Don't do it. Don't you break my heart. Please don't do it. Don't you break my heart. I'll go down to the river and there I'll be. I'm gonna jump in there, but you don't care about me. Open up your eyes. Can you see I love you? Open up your heart, girl. Can you see I need you? Oh, baby, don't do it, do it, do it. Don't you break my heart. Please don't do it, don't you break my heart.
Oh, yeah. Sure words never spoken, Mr. Stoney. Don't get off. Don't cough. You don't get off. You know what's more than that? I was smoking hash, man.
You too much. And you know, now you got me where you want me, and you won't let me go. If my heart was made of glass, then you should have seen. Heartache and misery, you keep calling me, but I ain't trying to do my best. You know I'm trying to do my best. Don't do it. Don't you break my heart. Please don't do it. Don't you break my heart.
Fuck it, I'm gonna do another hash swat. Fuck it, man. Oh, I do sometimes, Stoney, but you can't mess around, man, dude. You can't. Hey, let me say something too, because people are looking at this, And later on, they're going to see Stonely right there, and they're going to hear him. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. You take this much hash right here that I'm about ready to smoke and eat it, probably about 1/10 of a gram. You better know what you're doing. Okay? You better know what you're doing. Don't eat hash. Don't eat marijuana unless you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, eat it at home. Have someone around that knows about pot, not because they're going to be able to talk you down or anything. He's probably going to laugh in your face, talk shit on you, and make you feel more paranoid than you already are. But he's not going to let you call the cops or go to the hospital. I mean, Tucker Carlson had somebody on yesterday, right? I watched Tucker today from yesterday's program. So I watched yesterday's program today, and he's got this doctor on talking about marijuana will cause schizophrenia. Utter lie. Utter lie. The only studies I've ever seen, there's one major one, the only study, and I've only seen one, the only study I've ever seen says that if you are already going to be paranoid schizophrenic and you smoke some killer diggity danky, you could show a psychotic episode sooner than you would have otherwise. No shit, Sherlock. It's not that. One thing that I don't like about what's happening to weed is it's been kiddified, okay? Now, when I was about 16, 17 is when I started smoking pot, was introduced to it by a couple of old timers in a way that was, I don't think it was even unique. They pulled me aside and was like, you're fucking stupid. You got a loud mouth. You don't listen. You'll do nothing right. Smoke a fucking joint. And I was like, all right. And it helped me in so many ways. I remember there's times in school where I just couldn't wait to get out and go smoke me a little herb. Back in them days, everybody smoked in the bathrooms. The teachers could smoke, so they didn't have all this draconian enforcement of laws. I mean, in Penn County High School, there was in any bathroom on any break would have kids in there smoking up a storm. In fact, the one that was just across the hall from the office was the main one. The main one. Cigarette butts in the urinals. Well, you face the wall. The door opens, so you can kind of give it the old, and you can just let the cigarette go. Yeah, there might be smoke. You're going to get a dirty look. You could even get yelled at, but what, are you going to fish in the pisser and figure out which one of those is mine if it is? Never. And it was the only time there was any hassles if it was the bell had rung, the warning bell, and you're supposed to be at class, okay? And then maybe Mr. Mason might come busting up in there and give you a dirty look just to clear the joint so everybody goes to frickin' class. He struck me as the kind of guy that did that in the teacher's lounge, too. He was just a dick. Anyway, we all know people like that, right? We all know people like that. Daggone, I'm trying. You see me with the snuffer. I'm trying not to do that, okay? But I hear MCJK, and we're not professionals here. MCJK's not a professional. I'm not a professional. I'm doing my best. I want it to sound good. The fact of the matter is there are going to be some sniffles and snorts sometimes, especially this time of the year. Here's this big swatter. Let me also put on some more music, man. We'll have a good time here. I got a minute or two, so we'll have a good time here. Man, I love The Last Waltz. That's what that's from too. Don't Do It. That was the band. And it was offered a lot of good suggestions. But this is probably the best suggestion. Yeah. Old Warren Zevon, man. He was asked by he was really good friends with David Letterman. I think he guest hosted the Letterman show more than anybody else at the time of his passing. And he knew he was going to die. He was there with David. David knew he was going to die. Then, it's the end of the road for him. He's done. And so David Letterman does the tough thing. He looks at Warren Zevon. He says, Warren, my good friend, now that you know, and he did this the best. I mean, he was one of the best. If you ask me, he is the best late night guy ever. And he was one of the best interviewers ever because he knew when to keep it real. He knew when to be serious. It was like, now, he said, now that you, knowing what you know now, he said, is there anything that you can tell us? You know, is there anything that you've learned that you don't, that you could share with us? And Warren Zevon took a deep breath and said, well, I don't think so, unless it's enjoy every sandwich. And I tell you what, his last record had him in the back of a silver Ghost looking out the window. It said, my ride's here. And he knew he was, you know, when he made that record, he knew he was dying. Good old Warren Zevon.
He's the hairy-handed gent who ran amok in Kent. Lately he's been overheard in Mayfair. You better stay away from him. He'll rip your lungs out, Jim. I'd like to meet his tailor. Ahoo, werewolves of London. Ahoo, ahoo, werewolves of London.
See, I turned 32. Man, it might have been 31. And just a couple years before that, my brother died when he was 34. He passed away. So I was thinking of things a lot more than a lot of people would. You know, I was thinking about death and whatnot. And anyway, I was young. Had no idea, but I thought about it way too much, and I started having panic attacks to the point to where they did every test, and when they did the test, I'm sure I was having a panic attack, and they come back irregular. Like a guy on a table in an office that doesn't like doctors and is there because he thinks he may be dying. Like his heart's going to be doing anything other than fantastic rubber acrobatics. Acrobatics. And my heart was doing fantastic rubber acrobatics. Stole that line from Stephen King, I won't lie. And so there I am. And it's what to do. Have a heart catheter. The time leading up to the heart catheter, man. I mean, you know, I thought, and remind you, let alone that a heart cath, I mean, it solves a problem. You get a stent or something, it solves a problem. Make a long story short, I didn't get a stent that day, or shunt, or anything else, because my heart was perfect. My arteries and veins all around it were perfect. There was no problem whatsoever. Is it now? I'm assuming it is, because I haven't really changed my life much. If anything, I ate a little less meat. A little fatter, though. I mean, that's something I've been working on here. I thought just stopping the booze totally would take care of the overweight problem, but it hasn't, man. It's made it easier, and I'm still, you know, knocking down probably a pound a week. But man, I don't want to wait 50 more weeks, which would be 50 pounds. So anyway, boom. Don't lie to yourself. Don't be a bummer. But I was. The time waiting for that catheter, I was listening to old bluegrass, but like gospel grass, slow beats, and talking about going to heaven and stuff. And that was getting me low down. I felt low down. Felt bad. And now it's been like 12 years ago or more. Really, I don't really remember. I don't try to keep track of bad things that happen in my life. I learn the lessons and move on. I mean, since then, there's been a couple times that, I mean, I'm older and I feel a little something here and there, and I know it's not a panic attack, or I'm pretty sure it's not. And I mean, what are you gonna do? We'll lay down and go to sleep, or whatever's happening, keep doing it. Take a deep breath. Because here's the facts. our lives are there's such a short window. The only reason anyone can justify being a social justice warrior and not justify freedom, total freedom at the expense of security too, folks. Believe me, if you have total freedom, you have some security lacks, because I mean, a cop asking me for my ID, and now it's still people have to audit this, and it's a big deal when someone says, no, I'm not giving you my ID, or someone's walking down the road with a rifle. I mean, when I was a kid, people walked down the road with rifles all the time because they were usually hunting season. But I mean, I can think of no one called the cops. Maybe a lot of the reason was because everyone there had a rifle also. And the place I'm thinking of where I was young was called Burton, Michigan. The man's long dead, so I'll just tell you his shop name. A friend of my father's, his name was Speed. Everybody called him Speed. He was from down south. He had a nice little house on the south side of, I believe it was south side. Look at the map to make sure. It was, I believe, the south west side of Burton. And they fenced in backyard, not big now. I mean, just probably had a half an acre total. Backyard always had an RV in it, a couple motorcycles, not junk. He was wheeling and dealing that stuff. To this day, I've never seen it. I never knew anyone with as many knives and guns as Speed. He always had, I would say, at least 5,000-6,000 knives and anywhere upwards of 1,000 to 1,500 guns, various different kinds. You name it, he had it. He had a gun shop. Just a man that worked at the shop, collected guns. They were inexpensive then. Nobody tracked you, or there was no need to register even a revolver at all. He was harmless. Died an old man. Tell you what, though, you wouldn't want to break into his house. He used to make his own loads and put rubber bullets on him on the end, and that wasn't for home protection. We'd just go over there. We'd be sitting shooting the breeze, and Speed would break out some guns. So you want to shoot? The old man always, yeah, sir, Speed. And I'd end up with the gun too. Mine would inevitably be a 22, and no, it was never a 22 because you didn't reload those. It'd usually be a 38. And the rubber bullets, you shoot into a cardboard box, have a couple more pieces of cardboard behind it with a low load, just enough to shoot it down the barrel. Oh, it was fun. Room be all smoky, powder smoke and shit. The good old days. I don't even remember the moral of that story, why I told you about that, other than, we give away our freedoms. We feel like it's okay. And then you want to regulate. And if I point out this guy's like, oh, no, we don't regulate Speed because he could have went and did this, that, and that. No, why this, that, and the other thing? And I don't know. I mean, I just knew the old man that my dad knew. So as far as I know, who knows what he was ever before or after? This whole idea of not being able to own a firearm if you've had a felony or whatever, this is a new thing. It's not something that dates back. Anybody that's ever seen an old cowboy movie knows that when the bad guy gets out of prison, they give him their horse and their guns back, unless they ate the horses, like in High Plains Drifter. When they let the three boys out, they give them their guns. They say they're not loaded. The warden's like throws them their guns, says they ain't loaded. And you can see the bullets all in the belt, though. The guns just ain't loaded. And he's like, well, we had 3 good horses. He said, yeah? Well, what do you think you've been eating for the last 6 months? Oh, my goodness gracious. But freedom is a precious thing that people are so willing to give up. So they can, quote unquote, sleep well at night? I sleep the best at night when I know there is no one there telling me what to do, saying you can't have this thought, like Mr. Stoney saying he got slapped on Facebook for saying nigger. Oh my goodness. And why is there any word that we can't say? Why is there any idea that we can't have? Look at the overall person, and if they're not a vile person, if they're not calling for, blood and guts and terror, I mean, let it be as it always has been. Know the people by their fruits, judge them by their ideas. No reason to jail anybody. We don't live in Ireland where they throw poets in jail. We don't live in Russia where they throw people in the gulag because they disagree with, you know, the commissar. We don't live in Canada where if you're homophobic, they throw you in jail. They call it homophobic, and then that's up to the homo to decide whether or not you're phobic of them or not. We don't do that here. We should believe in freedom. It's just a thing of the past. It's a thing that's going away so quick. So I'll tell you what, folks, hope you followed all that. It'll be good to see you. I'll see you in the next couple of days. I'll probably be around at springtime. Start doing some videos before and after as we put up the greenhouse and get the garden together. And oh man, there's a million things. Been getting the yard together the last few days. Had a burn going. The only reason I had time today is because it's been rainy, drizzly, and it put my outside fire out finally. This morning it was still going. Oh, before I go, I want to say, does everybody know what a hoser is? Reason I feel like I can use it is because I know what a hoser means. Because you had like kids like us that like, you know, liked hockey and shit, play hockey. And we had a little pond we'd go to also. But there's a couple kids in the neighborhood where they made like berms. I mean, you know, like a 2-foot berm of dirt and just filled it with water with hoses. Not even kidding you. Use a pond liner sometimes, but usually not. It's cold out, it's frozen ground. Start flooding it, and you get it go up the berm about 6 inches. It's a freeze solid, man. And hosers, because you see them out there with the hose filling up the yard. So whatever. Remember, folks, be good to your friends, be good to your family members, be good to your loved ones. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, family member, loved one has done seems to be so huge you'll never be able to forget about it. Because constant viewers, Mr. Stonely, at a time you think not. Your friends, your family members, your loved ones, your life, and everything you know will depart from you.
If you bring your blue sky back